Hi everyone, I'm Bianca, a content executive from Trip 101, and welcome back to our travel talk series on our YouTube channel. So this is the series where we talk to local tour guides from all over the world, and we ask them for general travel information to help our travelers have a more enjoyable trip in new cities. So today we're talking to Jutta, a tour guide with 15 years of experience in Hamburg, Germany. Hi Jutta, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, my name is Jutta. I'm tour guide, as you said, for 15 years now. My name is Jutta, like the state Utah with a double T. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's easy.
Okay, so how long have you been living in Hamburg?
I'm living in Hamburg for 15 years now and in the north of Germany for 30 years.
Mhm.
And I was born in the Rhine area where we celebrate Carnival. I have a completely different kind of humor than the Hamburg citizens.
So is there anything particular about Hamburg that you fell in love with and that made you decide to settle there?
Yes, we have a bit of everything. We have mountains. The highest mountain is 116 meters high. People from the south of Germany would laugh about this, but Hamburg is proud of having mountains. And we have seagulls. We have a lot of canals. We are very close to the North Sea and to the Baltic. And within 45 minutes, you can lay on the beach.
Okay, wow. So you have a lot of different landscapes for your travelers
Yes.
to look forward to.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start this interview today with maybe talking about how travelers can get to Hamburg. So, are there any airports nearby, and then how far would that be from the Hamburg city center?
Yeah, the airport is 30 minutes far from the city center by suburban train or by taxi. You can also come by cruise ship. We have about 200 cruise ships coming to Hamburg every year, which is making Hamburg more well known all over the world.
Mhm.
And you can come by train, so it's very easy to come to Hamburg.
Okay, yeah. So you mentioned the train. So how long would that take to get to the city center?
The train
Yeah.
from the airport,
Yes.
it's a suburban train,
Mhm.
and it's also about 30 minutes.
Okay, sure. So on the way from the airport to the city center, are there any other maybe cities or attractions or any places to visit nearby that travelers can maybe take a detour to before they reach Hamburg?
Mm, Not really. So when you come to Hamburg, you arrive at the airport, you go to the city center, go to your hotel,
Mhm.
and maybe then you start a day tour.
Mhm.
From here, you can go to Lübeck, where you will find the freshest and best marzipan all over the world.
Mhm.
And it's a medieval city, same as Lüneburg, which is also close to Hamburg. Both cities are 45 minutes far from Hamburg, either by train or by car.
Mhm.
And you can also go to Berlin, but this will take you about 2 hours or 3 hours, depends. You can go by car with the traffic jam, maybe it's 3 hours, and by very fast train, this will be about 2 hours only. And Bremen, yeah, we have a lot of. You can go to the coast, so we have a lot of spots around Hamburg, which is traveling about 1 hour.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So I see that there's a lot to look forward to as well around the city.
Yes,
Mhm. Okay. So once travelers are already within Hamburg, what would you say is the most affordable way to get around?
by underground. So we have a lot of traffic jam, and the most effective traveling is by underground or suburban train, or there's some trains going to the countryside, which is very easy.
Okay. So for the train, are there any travel passes or cards that travelers should buy before they arrive?
At the moment, we have it's called the German ticket, Deutschland ticket. This is, I think, the price at the moment is 49 euro, and you buy this per month, and you can travel all over Germany with this ticket. In Hamburg, for the public transport system, you can buy a ticket which can be used in the underground, the suburban train, the bus, and we also have a bus on the water, so the ferries. You can use all the public transport system with one ticket. For one person is about €7, and you can buy a group ticket, which is about €15 for up to 5 people for the whole day, starting from 9 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the next morning.
Okay, yeah, that's really helpful to know, just so travelers can watch out for this already. But you mentioned that you have water transportation as well. So does that go all throughout the city?
Yes, we have a huge train station, and you can go even to Denmark by train. So
Okay,
there's all kinds of directions.
all right. So just in case travelers may want to rent a car or to drive themselves around, are there any car rental companies there that they can?
Yes, there's all the big brands is in Hamburg, and you can rent a car at the airport, at the train station, but also in the city center. There's some smaller car rentals, so it's really easy to rent a car. You need an international driving license if you're coming from abroad, and yeah, it's easy.
Mhm. Okay. Are there any maybe more reliable car companies that you would recommend?
I would recommend to do a research in the internet and to
Mm.
look for the, the best prices, and it depends on the vehicle. There's some of them who only offer small vehicles. If you need a luxury car, you should choose another company. So it depends on your wishes.
Okay, sure. So what about maybe ride sharing apps like Uber or yeah, similar ones? Are there any available in Hamburg?
Yes, we have Uber, we have a very good taxi system. The
Mm.
prices in Hamburg are fixed prices, so you don't get any surprise when you take a taxi that you would take or that you have to pay with Uber less than with another taxi cab. So it doesn't, there's no difference which kind of taxi you take.
Okay, yeah. That's really good to know. So I'm from the Philippines, and over here, the prices of the ride sharing apps and the taxis are usually very different.
Yes, and we have a new project in Hamburg. I'm not sure how long this will last. It's called Moja. It is a golden car, and you need an application for this.
Mhm.
You tell you have to leave your credit card information, and then you order a Moja.
Mm.
You tell this application where you are and where you want to go. And this is a big size taxi for up to 6 people, and it is going to collect you at certain spot. They will not pick you up at your home, but there has to be a spot 100 meters around the place where you are. They have different spots, and the car will stop there. You have to go there, and they tell you which is the lowest price. If nobody enter, or if other 5 people enter this Moja, because it's a big size taxi with 6 seats, and they have their route. If you go to the port, for example, they tell you how many stops is in between, and if really 5 people step in and step out, it will take longer, but it's less expensive because the price is being shared with 6 people.
I
It's an
see.
interesting project. It's a bit more expensive than the public transport, but it's less expensive than a taxi cab.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good in between, maybe. All right. So another thing that I know a lot of travelers are really excited to talk about and to experience when they go to a new city is the local food, right? So what do you think are some of the best local food options to try in Hamburg?
So Hamburg is an international city. Hamburg is a port city. We have a lot of water. That's why we eat a lot of fish. There's two different kinds of a lot of different kinds of fish. But we also eat meat. You have everything. We have about 4,000 restaurants. 50% of all the restaurants is international food, so you can taste Indian food or halal food as well, up to real Hamburg food, the original hamburger, for example.
Oh, I see. Yeah. So are there any other local foods that travelers should try? something that they can only get in the city?
No, you can get everything everywhere.
Okay.
So we eat a lot of fish sandwiches. So
Mhm.
this is maybe something, but you find a fish sandwich along the whole coast of the North Sea and the Baltic. Fish sandwich is something where you have water around, you find a fish sandwich.
I see. Yeah. What about the original hamburger? I'm curious to know what makes it special, what makes it
Yeah,
different.
this is how I greet people. Do
Mhm.
you already have a special souvenir from Hamburg? Did you think about this? What are you going to bring to your country, back to your friends? It should be just one thing. You hold it up. For example, if you would go to Paris, you would buy a little Eiffel Tower
Mhm.
and you go back to your friends, you hold it up, and I guess the whole world knows, you've been to France, to Paris. What kind of souvenir would it be for Hamburg? And then they are thinking, oh, maybe it's a fish sandwich. No, it's something typical for Hamburg. It's very easy. Hamburg. It's the hamburger. Because in the middle of the 19th century, about 5 million people emigrated to the New World.
Mhm.
And in Hamburg, there was a tradition on Sunday, you eat a lot of meat, and on Monday, you put the rest into slices in a sandwich with the rest of the sauce and salad. And
Mhm.
the immigrants were eating this on the quayside in the United States. And I guess Mr. McDonald must have seen this. He changed the recipe and he named it the hamburger because it was Hamburg immigrants.
That's a really
So,
interesting tidbit. Considering.
but if you don't want to carry a hamburger, you can also buy a box of the cream of the face cream Nivea. Do you know this blue and white box?
I don't
It's
think I've heard of it. Could you repeat the name?
Nivea.
Oh, yeah.
Nivea. And it is known all over the world, but its origin from Hamburg, and it's the eldest face cream which is still being produced. But nobody wants to buy a box of the cream of the Nivea because you find it all over the world. And if you have really good friends, you could buy a pen
Mhm.
with ink inside. The Mont Blanc pen, this is from Hamburg, origin from Hamburg as well. A lot of people think it's from Switzerland because of Mont Blanc, the name, but it's origin from Hamburg.
Yeah, those are really interesting facts. I had no idea that so many of the things that I've seen around actually came from Hamburg.
Yeah,
Uh,
and talking about the hamburger, the origin, there's only 3 restaurants where you can find the origin of this hamburger. In the area of the fish market, you get this original thing.
would you happen to know the names of the restaurants just so our viewers can check them
Yeah,
out?
the name of this one, which is in the city center, the others are outside, but the real one is at the fish market, which is called Eier Karl. In English, you would translate it for eggnog Karl. He is presenting a huge variety of eggnog with special flavor, strawberry, banana, but also the Rundstück warm, which is the original name of the hamburger.
Mhm.
Rundstück warm.
I see. So, apart from that restaurant, do you have a personal favorite restaurant in the city that you'd like to recommend?
No, so as I said, it's 4,000, about 4,000 restaurants, and we are a group of tour guides who meet every month, and we check out all the restaurants, and every month we are meeting in a different restaurant just to check out how's the food, and there's so many good ones, and I cannot, or I don't like to give recommendation because a lot of people are vegetarian. Some they like halal food, and you just have to check out what's the kind of food you like, and then you do a research. And furthermore, sometimes people say, this evening we will spend time in the warehouse district. So if I give you my recommendation for a restaurant which is far away, it doesn't make sense. So you should just do a research on Google, for example, and there you find the best restaurants. And with these reviews nowadays, I think it's better to look for a restaurant, see the reviews, see the location, see the inside, whether you like the atmosphere. And this is the best way to choose a restaurant. That's what we are also doing. We didn't know a lot of restaurants. For example, on Monday, this Monday, we had this meeting And we have been to a Mexican restaurant, which was amazing. Sometimes it turns out to be something really special.
Mhm. Yeah, well, that's a really good tip to keep in mind. You have to just kind of do your research to see what your preferences are and what the city
Yes.
has to offer, right?
Yeah, and it also depends how much do you want to spend in food.
Mhm.
So you have local markets, street food directly in front of the train station. It's a very ugly place, but there's a food truck which offers the best fried potatoes.
Mhm.
So yeah, but this is only for people who just like fried potatoes.
So you mentioned, yeah, there's like a lot of people who are vegetarians or have food preferences. So are there a lot of restaurants in Hamburg that have vegan, vegetarian, or also gluten-free options?
Yes, we have two has 105 quarters. And
Mm-hmm.
of course, most of the restaurants are offered in the hotspots of Hamburg. If you would go to a quarter which is called Sternschanze, you find all kinds of food and all, if it's gluten free or a lot of different options, but it's the best variety in this quarter. Eimsbüttel is another one, but this is not just a party zone. Sternschanze is a place where Hamburg citizens meet with friends and have good food. There's two local breweries, if you like beer.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Sternschanze and Eimsbüttel. This is my recommendation.
Okay. So what about restaurants that maybe cater more to families with children or maybe travelers with pets? Are those easy to come by in Hamburg?
I'm also a mother. And when our children were young, best place is to go to McDonald's. This is the only restaurant where you can go with children. They can run around, they can have a corner to play, and you can eat
Mhm.
in a calm way. But most of the restaurants they offer special chairs for children, and yeah,
Okay.
there's no special children restaurants, for example.
Okay, yeah. What about pet-friendly restaurants? Are those common?
This is different. There's some restaurants where they don't allow pets,
Mhm.
and we have one restaurant which is called the Cat Temple.
Mhm.
You can bring your own cat, but the owner already has a lot of cats. They are running around in the restaurant. So if people like this, they can go to this restaurant. So pet friendly, yes. No
Okay.
dogs, only cats.
Mhm. Okay. So since there are a lot of restaurants in Hamburg and tourists probably have maybe some favorites that are frequented, would you say that it's better to make a reservation beforehand?
Yes, yes. If you are one or two people, there's no need to make a reservation. But if you are with a group of friends, apart from four or six, I would recommend to make a reservation.
Okay. And so maybe travelers, just in case, maybe they just want to go to the hotel and rest up. Do they have options for having their food delivered? Are there any special apps that they can download for this?
Yes, there is a lot of restaurants offer delivery of food on their own, but there's also applications where you can Lieferando. I don't know whether this is well known, but it's called Lieferando. Liefer is to deliver.
Mhm.
And we also have Uber Eats,
Mhm.
and then you have a huge choice of restaurants. But sometimes it's easier to order at the restaurant directly. They have their own drivers and deliver it to your place.
Okay. So what about maybe convenience stores, just in case travelers want to just pick up a quick snack?
Yeah, on each corner.
Mhm. Okay. Do you have any favorites that you would recommend?
We have a lot of curry sausage and fried potato
Mhm.
shops. So every 50 meters you find one to eat it over there or to have a takeaway. But most of the people stand in front of this little booth and eat their fried potatoes or curry sausage. The curry sausage could be also something what people might taste or try to taste all over Germany. Each city says the curry sausage was invented by us and we have the best curry sausage. So as I'm from Düsseldorf, from the Rhine area, I knew that the Düsseldorf citizens, they always said our sausage is the best. And then I came to Hamburg and they said, no, our sausage is the best. And then people from Berlin say, yeah, but our sausage is better than Hamburg sausage. And I was wondering, why does everybody say our curry sausage is the best? And it's not the sausage with curry, it's the sauce. And the story behind is after the war, the meat was not very good, and everybody tried to pimp up the sausage. And a lot of housewives all over Germany, they tried to find out which is the best sauce for the bad sausage. And a lot of housewives invented a special sauce. And in most of them, there you find curry spices. And that's why this is something special. Nowadays, the quality of the sausage is better.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of spots where you can try a curry sausage.
So do you agree with them when they say that Hamburg has the best curry sausages?
Now, of course, as a Düsseldorf person, I prefer the Düsseldorf sausage.
Yeah. So maybe our travelers can also go there to get their real best
Yeah.
sausage. Okay.
It depends on the meat, how they prepare the meat. Some do it with dark meat, others with bright meat, and they have different spices in the sausage. So it's, I would say they are all the same.
Yeah. Well, if there's anyone watching who wants to try them, then maybe you can do a food crawl through Hamburg and throughout Germany to find which one you prefer.
Yeah.
Okay, so another important thing that travelers like to be aware of before they go to a new city is what kind of healthcare facilities they'll have access to. So are there any medical centers or reputable hospitals that are available for tourists and foreigners?
Yeah, unfortunately, no, it's not unfortunately, but if you live in Hamburg, it doesn't matter where you live, you always have the sound of the sirens of the ambulance cars. So we have a very good healthcare system, and you find a hospital for emergency cases on each spot. They have their emergency room, and you can go there 24 hours. And it depends on if you just have a scratch and you need some little things, you can go to a pharmacy and get things there. The people who work in a pharmacy, they are very well trained or have a very good education or study, and they can also give a lot of advices before you go to the hospital. Maybe they can help you. You need a prescription if you need some special medicine, but for just light things, you can go to the pharmacy, which you can find in all the public places. There's every 2 or 3 streets you find a pharmacy.
Okay, that's really good to know. I think that would be reassuring to travelers to know that they
Yeah.
can get a lot of medical care there. Okay, also something I wanted to touch on as well is how travelers can stay connected or how they can have, Wi-Fi or data access while they're in Hamburg. Yeah, so would you recommend
Yeah,
they get the local SIM cards?
we have, yeah, same as the curry sausage places, you find a lot of mobile phone shops where you can buy the cards for the mobile phone. I can recommend to have this because then you have a free Wi-Fi, and it's just a couple of euros for a whole month, and you can do the Google research and Google Maps, and this is, I think it's less expensive. I love to travel around a lot, and always, either if I go to Ecuador or the United States, I always buy a SIM card, and so that I'm independent to move around in other countries.
Okay. So do you recommend that travelers get the SIM card at the airport or
Yes.
would it be cheaper in the city center?
No, the prices are the same everywhere. It's around €10, I think, for Yeah, it depends. If you need a lot of video space, maybe this is more expensive, but yeah, it doesn't matter where you buy it. They are, and maybe it's €1 difference, which is not that much. So.
Okay. So is it also common for hotels or restaurants or other public areas to have public Wi-Fi or free Wi-Fi?
Yes, in the meantime, it's nearly each restaurant and the hotels, they have free Wi-Fi. Most of the time you should ask whether you can get the access code. It's not when you enter somewhere and immediately you have free access. You need a special code. A couple of years ago, I was working with a lot of cruise ship passengers. I picked them up with a bus, and then I said, now we are making or doing a guided tour with the bus. And then they said, no, the first thing that we have to do, we stop at Starbucks. Why at Starbucks? You're coming from the cruise ship. You have had breakfast a couple of minutes ago. And why Starbucks? We have so many very good coffee roasteries with private roasted coffee, which has a much better taste than the Starbucks coffee.
Yeah.
And then they said, no, we don't want to go there for coffee. We need free Wi-Fi. But nowadays, it's in nearly each restaurant, each bar, they offer free access. Yeah.
That's a really great story to tell, though. Yeah. So when travelers buy local SIM cards, or maybe if they, have to go to Starbucks or other restaurants, would you recommend that they use cash or is credit card better?
Most of them take credit cards, but to my experience, you should always have some cash in your bag because sometimes the credit card does not work, and it's better always to have some cash in the background.
Okay. Yeah. And where's the best place in the city to get the best exchange rates?
You can go to any bank in the city. At the airport, there's an exchange place and the central station as well. But if you are right in the city center, you could go to just any bank and say, I need to change money, and they are doing it. No problem.
Okay, so I also have some maybe just more general travel information that viewers would appreciate learning about. So for example, are there any medications or other items that travelers should avoid bringing into Germany or into Hamburg in particular?
I think there's a rule all over Germany. You're not allowed to bring special nutrition, fresh nutrition, but they should check this with the travel agency. So I know from Ecuador, for example, just to give an example, that you are not allowed to bring seeds, other fruits, seeds for fruits or anything else, because they don't want to ruin the flowers or flora on Galapagos Islands, for example. But we don't have these strict rules.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I don't know. But they should check just in case before they are being stopped at the airport.
Okay, yeah. Also, would you say that Hamburg is safe for solo travelers or female travelers?
Yes, we have a lot of police. We have 1.8 million inhabitants, and there's some hotspots where people celebrate parties. The most dangerous thing in this area, St. Pauli, in the amusement district, is drunken bachelor parties. So people drink a lot, and after a couple of hours, you don't know how they behave. So this is the most dangerous in Hamburg. And of course, there's sometimes a bit of robbery, but not as bad as in Barcelona. I've made a lot of bad experiences in Barcelona. There's robbery in the underground everywhere. And so in Hamburg is a very safe city.
Okay, that's really good to know. Are there any common scams maybe that travelers should be on the lookout for?
No, I'm not aware of anything.
Okay. So maybe we can talk a little bit more about the attractions that Hamburg has to offer. So before a traveler goes into the city, should they already have booked travel passes or tickets to attractions in advance?
There is a travel pass in Hamburg, which is called Hamburg Card. You
Mm-hmm.
can book this in advance, and you can use this travel pass or Hamburg Card. You can use it for the public transport system, which is very comfortable that you have this in your pocket. So normally, if you need a ticket for the underground, you have to go to a ticket box and to buy it. But if you have this in your pocket, you're on the safe way and you don't forget to buy the ticket. But I can only recommend this if you also go to restaurants or to the zoo, for example. There you get a reduction with this Hamburg card. It's an advantage if you use it for the entrance of museums or anything. If you just use this travel card for the public transport, it's not worth buying this. Then I recommend to buy a day ticket
Mm-hmm.
on the
Okay.
spot in the underground. There's a lot of ticket boxes everywhere where you can buy a ticket.
But that's a really good tip, I think, if you're trying to save money while you're eating out as well.
Yes.
So, are there any dress codes, maybe when visiting religious sites or monuments, that travelers should be aware of?
No, no.
Okay.
I think everybody in the world knows that he does not enter a church half naked,
Mm-hmm.
and that he takes his head off.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, what are some places that you think that both travelers and locals would love to visit?
Yeah, behind me you see the warehouse district. This is a place where everybody wants to go. This is a huge complex of the 19th century. It was built only as a warehouse district, just for storing goods, coffee, tea, cacao, spices. And with the appearance of container ships, they didn't need the warehouses anymore because containers are not being unloaded in the city anymore.
Mhm.
And now they are transforming all these red brick buildings into offices, into shops, event halls. One of the best attractions in Hamburg is the miniature Wonderland. You can nearly see the whole world on 4 floors without flying.
Yeah,
It's
that's
very famous, yeah, all over the world.
yeah. Also, in the warehouse district as well, I see that there's a boat behind you. So, are there boat tours maybe of that area?
Yeah, a boat tour is something that you really have to do, except when you arrive with a cruise ship, because then you have passed the port already.
Uh-huh.
But these flat boats behind me, they can pass the canals of the warehouse district. We are dependent on the tidal range. So the tidal range in Hamburg is 3 meters 75. And if there's no water in the canals, you cannot pass the canals.
Mhm.
But here's a rule: you can say within 1 hour, water goes up or down for 1 meter. It depends whether it's high tide or low tide. And we say that at high tide, 1 hour before or afterward, then the boats can pass again. And in the internet, you find the schedule of the tide.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's a great thing for tourists to look up just so they don't get disappointed in case it's tight.
Yeah, but you can ask. So I can recommend before you enter a ship because you want to see the canals in the warehouse district, ask them whether they are really passing the warehouse district, the
Mm-hmm.
canals of the warehouse district. They all do, they all have the same route. It's about 20 minutes in the warehouse district. Then they're going to pass our huge concert hall, the Elbphilharmonie, and then they go to one of the big terminals with huge container ships. So they all do the same route within 1 hour, and only the small ships can enter the canals of the warehouse district. The flat ships, not the small ones.
All right.
They nearly have the same size.
Yeah, great thing to keep in mind while they're in the area. So what would you say are maybe some hidden gems in Hamburg that, travelers should check out aside from the main tourist attractions?
Yeah, so if I would tell you, they would not be hidden anymore. You can find all the spots. You can find everything. And even if you Google hidden spots in Hamburg, they are going to show you. There's one street It is written in the internet, and there's a lot of travel books where it is recommended to go there. But I have a lot of guests who have never heard about this. This is a street. It's called the Widow Street. It is right behind our St. Michael Church, which is the Baroque church. And behind the church, there you go down in a street, and there you have one remaining street of the 17th century. So Hamburg was destroyed during the Second World War for 75%. We only have 4 streets or 5 streets left with houses from the 17th century. And if you want to see one of them, you go into this street behind St. Michael Church.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for sharing a hidden gem with us. So, are there any activities that would be perfect for families with children visiting Hamburg?
Yes, the zoo, the aquarium, and the zoo of Hamburg is one of the eldest in Germany, and it was the first one where they presented the animals without fences. So it's a huge park, and you are very close to the animals, although there's always a canal. The animals mostly live on an island, so that they cannot pass the canal.
Yeah, but that's a very interesting experience. I don't think I've gone to a zoo that's like that.
Yeah.
Okay, what about activities for senior citizens? Are there any recommendations for them?
So seniors are mostly interested in visiting museums, and we have a very good art museum in Hamburg. It's called Kunsthalle, and it's worth a visit. It's spread over 3 buildings. When I go into this museum, I just check whether I like the picture or the painting or not, and then I continue. I can do this in 2 hours, but sometimes I have guests which are standing in front of a painting for 20 minutes. They will take longer in these 3 buildings.
Okay.
But I can recommend it. We have a very good department for the art of the 19th century, so it's really worth a visit.
I see. Sorry, could you repeat the name of the museum?
Kunsthalle. Kunst is art in German, and Halle, hall. Kunsthalle.
Okay, yeah. Thank you. The German words just aren't very familiar.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, what about for travelers who are maybe more adventurous or seeking a bit more of a thrill? Are there any places?
Yeah, as we don't have real mountains, so there's no hiking. In Hamburg, yeah, every day can be an adventure, but there's nothing special. If you love really not hiking, but walking around for hours, I can recommend to go to Lüneburg and Lüneburg Heat, where you have these purple flowers. It's a special plant. And this can only be found in Lüneburg Heat. And there you can do a horse coach tour in the woods. And this is a nice area, but it's not an adventure. It's just something different. But in Hamburg, some people think they can cross the Elbe River because they are very good swimmers. But I would never recommend to swim in the Elbe River because there's a lot of currents and you cannot see them underneath the surface. So a lot of people overestimated themselves as good swimmers. So this would be a challenge and an adventure, but maybe they will not survive.
Okay, yeah, that's a really great thing to watch out for, just so your vacation stays safe and enjoyable. So we talked about it a little bit earlier about the souvenirs that travelers can bring home from Hamburg. So are there any places that you recommend going? Maybe local markets or known stores where travelers can pick up the souvenirs you mentioned earlier?
Yes. So the biggest quantity of souvenir shops can be found in the port area, Landungsbrücken, that's the name. In the city center, you have a few shops, but you have to look for it. It's not easy to find them. Opposite side of the city hall, there is one, and on the train station, there's another one.
Okay.
But the best place is in the port.
What about for our travelers who are looking for maybe more branded items? Are there any shopping malls or shopping spots that you recommend?
Yes, in the city center, we have 13 shopping malls. I guess everybody can find something. We have an area. The city center is divided into two parts in downtown, which is not a real downtown, just historic street names. But during the Second World War, most of it was destroyed. But Hamburg was very clever to rebuild everything as it was before the war. So you think it's historic, but behind the facade, it's new. And so it's the downtown area and New Town. And in this new town, you have a street with the most exclusive brands. So for me, it's just window shopping, but you find all brands in this street, very exclusive.
All right. Yeah, and
Place.
while travelers or maybe even locals are shopping around in Hamburg, is it common for them to negotiate prices or to bargain with the sellers?
No, no. The only place where you should negotiate, where you have to negotiate, is the fish market on Sunday morning. The
Mhm.
fish market is an old tradition from the 17th century because people were working very hard during the week and they received an exception for those who wanted to sell fresh food. And the government said, okay, we give you the exception. Fresh food can be sold on a Sunday before church opens. That's why it is still today from 5 o'clock in the morning until 9:30. You can go to the fish market and you have to negotiate. And when the seller starts getting furious, you know you are very close to the best price.
Okay. That's
But
good to
it's not only fish, it's also vegetables, plants. A couple of years ago, it was animals that you could buy there, but they stopped this. And now you can buy sweets and meat and sausage. So all kinds of
know. Mhm.
touristic
Okay.
things to try. Yeah.
Yeah. Are stores still closed on Sundays or is that just an old rule?
Our shops are closed on Sunday throughout the year. And unfortunately, I have had a lot of groups from United States which came with a cruise ship on a Sunday. And then it was raining. And after 1 hour, they said, what shall we do in this city? We cannot buy anything. And it's raining and we go back to our cruise ship. And I say, yeah, but we can go inside a lot of the sites of Hamburg and you can taste local food. We have a bus. I can show you around. We can see a lot of different things, although the shops are closed. No, we go back to the cruise ship because the food is for free.
Mm.
Okay. Yeah, this was disappointing, but sometimes people
Yeah.
don't like the rain and they're closed shops.
Mhm. Yeah, so maybe if our travelers can just watch out for Sundays, just be aware that you might
Yeah,
not have as many options.
yeah.
Okay. So there's a lot of things to do in Hamburg, from the shops to the museums and all the attractions that you mentioned. So how long would you say the travelers should stay in the city so they can experience all that it has to offer?
So if you only want, maybe if you only have 1 day, this would be enough for Hamburg.
Mm-hmm.
You will see the most interesting spot. You are aware of the weather, how the weather is like, and the people. I think 1 day in Hamburg would be okay, but to find out what's the surrounding, this is about 1 week. I can recommend to go to Lübeck, to Lüneburg, to Bremen, and you can pass a whole week. And we have a lot of musical theaters, so there's a lot of things to do. It depends on your interest, how long you want to stay in Hamburg and to see all the museums and yeah.
Okay. So when is the best time to visit the city in terms of the weather?
Except November, January, and February, everything is fine. So in our season starts in April until end of October, and then it's very ugly. It's very cold, raining a lot, and in Hamburg we have a lot of wind. And if it's cold and you have the wind, this feels like freezing, but it's very uncomfortable in winter times. The only exception in winter is December, where we have the Christmas markets. There you can drink some hot Glühwein, a red wine, and eat a sausage on the Christmas market, and then you feel comfortable again.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So from April and October, is the weather warmer or rainy? What kind of weather should travelers expect?
So at the moment, the season is called summer, but it's really cold. We have 17 to 9 to 20 degrees, but it's very uncomfortable and it is raining for days now.
Mm-hmm.
So it depends on the year. It depends on your luck. Maybe you are lucky. Last week there was a lot of sunshine. The guests were happy. But if you carry an umbrella with you, sun cream and sunglasses, you are on the safe side.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
a wind coat. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I also just wanted to talk about some more neighborhoods in Hamburg, just so travelers can kind of know which areas of the city to target. So in case travelers are looking for the nightlife areas, what neighborhoods should they go to?
So for nightlife, it is St. Pauli.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, a couple of years ago, there was one person who compared St. Pauli with little Las Vegas, but no, it
No.
is really tiny, tiny little. So
Okay.
this is our amusement district. If you want to do party, this is the best place. You have a lot of bars, a lot of discotheques, and the Beatles started their career in this district. So it
Oh,
can't be that bad. You have a lot of bars with live music, and still today, a lot of musicians, they are allowed to present their music for free, and they hope to be discovered, same as the Beatles.
mhm.
So this is the best place to go for party. If you only want to look for nice restaurants to sit outside, and then you should go to Sternschanze or Eimsbüttel,
Mhm.
as I
Okay.
mentioned before. And Hafen City is a new quarter. This is going to be a very good quarter to look for a lot of different things, restaurants, shops. But it will take maybe another 1 or 2 years until this is really working.
Mhm.
And Hamburg, as we have 105 quarters, each quarter has its own shopping street, its own street with restaurants. So there's a lot of things. If you're looking for something special, you should Google.
Yeah. Okay. What about maybe the best places in the city with views? Yeah. Are there any places to stay that would give travelers a view of the city, of the canals?
Yeah, Hamburg is a port city.
Mm.
And the reason why Hamburg was founded is that we have so many rivers. Hamburg was founded in the 9th century, and at this time, it was much easier to transport goods with boats instead of a horse coach. And we have so many canals, we have so many bridges, 2,500 in the city. And the best place is alongside the banks of the Elbe River or the banks of the Alster Lake. This is very beautiful, and you have a lot of coffee shops, restaurants. You just sit there when the sun is shining and watch the sailing boats on the Alster Lake or the big container ships from the Museumsport on the Elbe. You can sit on the beach, you look to the other side and see big container ships. So this is my favorite places where I would go if I have some time.
Okay. So what about the neighborhoods that offer the best food spots in Hamburg? Do you have any recommendations?
We have a lot of fresh markets
Mhm.
where a lot of food trucks come as well. But each quarter has a different day where you find the food market. So
Mhm.
this, you could do a food market hopping, go from one quarter to another to find out what they are offering, and especially for food. So in the whole city center, you have a lot of restaurants or food trucks. If you are lucky, this is the day when a special food truck is located on special places. So it's
Is there maybe a website where travelers can refer to so they know the schedule of the food markets?
Yes, Hamburg offers an English website. I think it's called hamburg.de, where you can choose food markets, where you can choose things for kids and museums or special festivals or cinema or offer for musicals.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Okay.
the Hamburg website is
Yeah.
very good in
That
this.
sounds like a great resource to refer to. All right. So, what area would you say is the best for families or solo travelers, couples?
So we have the touristic hotspots,
Mhm.
and they are for all of them. It's
Okay.
good.
Yeah. So, since the city, is very diverse, and maybe our tourists or our travelers have very diverse budgets as well, where would you say is the neighborhood with the cheapest accommodations or places to stay?
I think it's very difficult to answer this question. Again, I have to say, do a Google research on HRS or on TripAdvisor or Airbnb. It depends on the season, it depends on the size, it depends on how much things you want to do. So if you prefer to stay the whole time in the city center because you have to go to museums, you should look for a very good offer in the city center.
Mhm.
Sometimes the hotel can be very expensive when there's a fair, for example. The hotel is expensive, but when you arrive in a season where we don't have any attractions around this place, then they offer good prices. So there is some hotels, we have a lot of hotel chains like the Motel One, which is one of the less expensive ones. But if there's an event in the city, they also increase the prices for twice as much. So it's very difficult to recommend a special hotel or brand.
Mhm. Okay. Do you have a favorite place or a favorite hotel that you would recommend to travelers?
No.
Okay.
No, it depends on the interest. If you like to be in a hotel with the view to the river, there's plenty of hotels alongside the banks of the Elbe, but they all have different prices. So it depends on your budget. We also have five-star hotels on the lake of the Alster. If you can afford to pay 4,000 euro for one night, I can give you the name.
Alright. Yeah. So I also just wanted to ask about the festivals or the annual events in Hamburg. Are there any that you would recommend?
Yes, in summertime, I think it's where we have the Jazz Festival. In the whole port, they are building scenes, and you buy a ticket. This year it was 95 euro for 3 days, and
Mhm.
you could go from one music place to another. In the whole port, you had these special places where you could sit down and listen to jazz music. And there was a lot of shuttle buses bringing you around the city from one scene to another. This
Mhm.
is very famous, and a lot of people come to this jazz festival. And there's another one which is called Reeperbahn Festival, which is taking place in the amusement district. They also have different shows in bars, but also in great big public places.
Mhm. Okay. So I just have one last question to round the interview. Would you say that tipping is common in Hamburg?
Yes, in all over Germany, in the tourism, it's common to give 5 to 10%. It depends. If you're not happy, you don't tip. But if you say, yeah, it was a very good service for a waiter, for example, in a restaurant, then you can also tip 10% of the amount of your bill.
Okay, yeah, that's really good to know because not all cities usually have the same standard for tipping.
No, no. In Germany, it's everywhere. It's the same. In tourism, it's between 5 and 10%.
Mhm. Okay. Okay, so those are all our questions for today. So thank you so
Okay.
much for making time for this, Kita, and for sharing so many insightful answers as well as the tidbits of history that you did. They were very interesting.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Bye.
So goodbye.